Alsler here, play-by-play for the Abbey Canucks. You got it locked on the Line Change, a Vancouver Canucks podcast.
What's up, Canucks fans, Canucks Nation? Welcome back to the Line Change. And in this video, we're going to talk about some practice updates from earlier today. I know this video is a little bit late, but I wanted to go over these practice updates. And, well, I honestly wanted to vent a little bit because especially after seeing some things when it comes to this practice, I got a lot I need to get off my chest. But let's go ahead and just bring up the updates and start off with that. This is, of course, courtesy of Jeff Patterson, JPAT. These were the lines at practice earlier this morning. Of course, you had Kane with Elias Pettersson and Drew O'Connor. Then you had Ogren, Rossi, Besser as your second line. Sasson, Bluger, Carlson as your third line. And then Douglas, Ratu, and DeBrusk as your fourth line. And then, of course, Hoglander was the odd man out. Moving on, obviously, the big story is Evander Kane being back into the lineup after missing Monday's 2-0 loss to Ottawa with an upper body injury. He was back on the ice along with Brock Besser, Philip Hronek, and Marcus Pettersson, who were given maintenance stays on Tuesday. The Canucks made a subtle tweak to their forward lines as they prepared to face the Nashville Predators tomorrow night. Kane skated with Elias Pettersson and Drew O'Connor, while the middle six lines of Marco Rossi with Liam Ogren and Brock Besser, along with Bluger between Sasson and Carlson, stayed intact. DeBrusk found himself on a line with Aatu Ratu and newcomer Curtis Douglas, which, of course, as we mentioned, left Niels Hoglander as the team's lone extra forward. With just 6 defensemen on the active roster, there were no changes on the blue line. Philip Hronek was paired with DPD. Marcus Pettersson formed a duo with Tom Vallander, while Z. Bouillon and Victor Mancini skated together. The Canucks devoted a significant portion of the early stages of practice to a power play that failed to click on 3 opportunities against the Senators. More than that, the Canucks did not register a single shot on goal in 5 minutes and 3 seconds with the man advantage on Monday night. The coaching staff was particularly disappointed with the team's zone entries, so that seemed to be a point of emphasis as they ran through power play drills. Philip Hronek remains on the point on the top unit with Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson, Jake DeBrusk, and Marco Rossi as the forwards. Steve Bouillon and Tom Vallander were on the second unit, along with Evander Kane, Linus Carlson, and Drew O'Connor. DeBrusk remains the team's runaway leader in power play goals with 11 on the season. However, he has not scored with the man advantage since a January 8th game against the Detroit Red Wings. Despite not having played for the team since mid-January, Kiefer Sherwood sits second in power play goals with 6. Now, we're going to shift over to a comment made by Adam Foote on the need to give Nikita Tolopilo a run of games at the NHL level. He was obviously asked this by the reporters. And he goes on to say, I don't know if you need to see a run. We can see it with how we're doing it. I hear what you're saying, but he's going to get enough games. We're going to manage it with what we think is best for both of them, both Tolopilo and Kevin Lankinen, whether it's physically or mentally. I don't know if you'll get maybe as much as you're suggesting, but it's definitely something we've thought about. Now, I got to kind of harp on this a little bit. Adam Foote's being a freaking moron with this. Like seriously, going saying you don't need to see a run. Give this guy some runway. Give this guy some games. He's young. You could potentially lose him this summer because of him no longer being waiver exempt. And he's probably going to be the odd man out because of the Lankinen and Demko contracts. So give this guy some runway and let him frickin' play. I absolutely hate this quote from Adam Foote. It just shows how, I don't want to say stupid, but it shows you the stupidity from Adam Foote and the crap that comes out of his mouth. This is more word salad, as Russell from Nothing is Perfect likes to say. And I bet you he's probably going to have a field day with this quote. But I absolutely despise this quote from Adam Foote, kind of, talking back a little bit on, the fact that fans want to see Tolopilo play. And he's kind of, going after people, going basically, kind of dismissing it in a way. So I absolutely hate this quote from Foote. And honestly, and this is, like I said, I got a lot to get off my chest. I absolutely hate this. And no, it's not just because I'm a big Tolopilo supporter and a big fan of Tolopilo. It's the guy deserves a run to play. The Canucks aren't playing for anything. The Canucks are dead last in the league. You don't need to win games. It would be nice to win, some, of course, but there's no harm in giving him a run and resting Lankinen. Lankinen, granted, has played well the last few games, but give Tolopilo some more games. He's played better than Lankinen for most of the season, for most of the games that he's played. I know Tolopilo had that one really bad game, but still, give him a run. And I'm not buying that it's something they've thought about because they're not doing it. But just the fact for Foote to kind of, talk back about this, saying, I hear what you're saying, but he's going to get enough games. Well, clearly he hasn't. And the fact that they're going to manage it for what they think is best for both of them. Well, what's best for Tolopilo is to give him some runway and give him some games. And just the fact that he flat out says, I don't know if you need to see a run. I absolutely hate it. Like, Foote, shut up. Like, you don't know what you're doing. There's a reason why you failed at coaching at a junior level. What makes you think you're going to be better at the NHL level? But moving on. Sorry, that was my little rant. At least one of my little rants. Adam Foote did comment on whether Evander Kane's 1,000th NHL game is on his coaching radar. Kane needs 9 more games to reach that milestone. And he goes on to say, I want to see him get that. Who knows what Evander is going to do moving forward. We haven't talked about whether he wants to play after this, but I'm sure he does. You always want a player to reach those goals. It's a great thing to have in your hat. Jake DeBrusk on rediscovering his power play scoring touch. Obviously, for me, in that net front bumper area, if shots aren't coming, I'm not really doing anything in terms of producing. I have to be good on my recoveries and try to find guys and make plays. We had a couple of good looks against Chicago just a couple of games ago and got one there, so it's not bad, but we have to have that killer instinct. If we have a couple of tough break-ins, we have to get some shots on net and get recoveries. That's how you break down good penalty kills. Now, okay, we already went over this quote. But of course, as we mentioned, if Kane stays in the lineup, he's scheduled to play his 1,000th game on March 30th in Las Vegas. Players who hit the 1,000 game mark are rewarded with a silver stick to commemorate reaching the milestone. Other players who have played their 1,000th game this season include Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Brendan Dillon, and Roman Josi. But going back to this Evander Kane 1,000th NHL game thing, I really that's cool and all that, they want him to get that mark. And of course, it would be a great, obviously, achievement for Kane. But this is where my gripe comes in with it. It's at the expense of Nils Hoglander, which absolutely pisses me off because I'm a big Hoglander guy. I think he's played well the last few games, and you're trying to get Elias Pettersson going again. He has excellent chemistry with Nils Hoglander. And what Adam Foote keeps doing is he keeps putting them together briefly, and it's for maybe a couple shifts or two, and then he gets rid of it. He puts someone else with Pettersson, normally Kane, and we've seen it all season long. Kane and Pettersson do not have chemistry, and that having Kane on your first line doesn't fucking work. It has not worked. At least they have O'Connor as the other wing instead of DeBrusk, because we know the whole Kane, Pettersson, DeBrusk line doesn't work, and I don't know why Foote keeps going back to it. But at least with this one, he's got DeBrusk on the fourth line. He's testing O'Connor up there. O'Connor's kind of taken a bit of a step back, even though he is leading the team in goals. I believe that is the case, if I'm not mistaken. But continuing to put Kane on the first line with Pettersson, I get it. It's Evander Kane. He's making $5 million, but I honestly do not care. Put Kane lower in the lineup, and why are you doing this at the expense of Nils Hoglander? The guy was out for most of the season with that injury, and the fact that you want, and then hearing Foote himself say, I want to, and apparently this is why he's got Kane on the first line. It's because he wants Kane to get that 1,000 game mark. I mean, he said it himself. Kane probably is going to play next year, but we don't know. Well, I think we know for a fact that it won't be on as a member of the Canucks. He'll probably have to get a PTO because of how poorly he's played this year. He's probably going to have to earn himself another contract on a PTO, and it'll be with a different team. Let him hit that 1,000 game mark. Then he doesn't have to hit it with this team. And like I said, it especially pisses me off that they're doing this at the expense of Nils Hoglander. Like, imagine how Hoglander feels about this. He's having to be a healthy scratch because they're trying to get Kane to 1,000 games. I mean, am I wrong here? But it just absolutely irritates the hell out of me. And I just think Adam Foote's, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think he's an idiot. Granted, he had a great playing career. I'm not knocking on that at all, but his coaching career absolutely sucks. I mean, we've seen proof of that with the Kelowna Rockets. He was not good. He was basically chased out. And yes, he's the perfect tank commander, whatnot, but I'm starting to think the Canucks really need to look at Adam Foote and be like, do you, and ask this particular question. Do you want a guy like Adam Foote coaching these younger guys, especially if you get like a McKenna or a Stenberg? Hell, throw in Braden Coots as well. La Karamaki. Do you want Adam Foote coaching these young guys with how he's coached this season and how he's, scratching young talented players for a guy like Evander Kane? I know I wouldn't want this guy. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to The Line Change, and be sure to have your notifications turned on so you don't miss all your Vancouver Canucks in-game analysis. And I want to give a shout out and thank you to my sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook, which is, of course, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois, 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario, restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which will expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright 2026 NHL, all rights reserved. Looking at the NHL odds for DraftKings, right now for tomorrow, we've got the St. Louis Blues taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. The St. Louis Blues are at a plus 1.5 and a minus 115 on the puck line. The Carolina Hurricanes are at a minus 1.5 and a minus 105 on the puck line, while the Blues are a plus 235 on the money line, and the Hurricanes are at a minus 290 on the money line. Just a reminder, these odds are, of course, subject to change. And, of course, please play responsibly. And a big shout out and thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook. This video has been a presentation of both DraftKings Sportsbook as well as the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast covering your favorite team at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, where it's every team, everywhere. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, drop your comments down below. As I said, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on the next line change.